Get this session going. Taylor, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Sounds good. Good morning. I am so excited to be here at the 19th Annual Chicago Food Justice Summit. I am Taylor Ryan, she, her. I am originally from Paducah, Kentucky. I have been living in Louisville, Kentucky on and off for about 10 years. And before I start my presentation, I just want to introduce myself. I am 33 years young. I am a single mother. I am a daughter, a sister, and a community auntie to so many children. And we really need that, okay? The kids are about to be lost, honey. They got to get rid of all the subjects, okay? They're not going to be learning anything. And so we have to be pouring into our neighborhood and pouring into our community. And I grew up a community kid. We were really poor, and I was aware that we were poor, but I had so many friends that just had like less than me. And it was oftentimes that my mama's house, she would come home from work and it would be like 5 or 6 of us in the house, and she would feed all of us every time. Really don't know how she made it work, but she did. And so my mama was a community auntie. I don't know if anybody on the call has ever grew up with a young mom, but you have times where you're at a party and she's at a party and there's a kid's room and you're in the kids' room and they're in an adult room. And even though you think about it and it feels weird, at the same time, those environments are still needed. Young moms still need spaces to enjoy themselves. And so that's the vibe that I provide for my friends and I. We have a good time. Um, so I always grew up around food. We were feeding people. My first job was in food. So it really comes full circle that I have this position that I have now to be starting this company about 4 years ago on my own, with my baby on my hip at 1 year old. I was living in the back of my homegirl's house, and I was like, the math ain't mathing, because I have 2 master's degrees and I'm making $12 an hour with a newborn. And I was writing grants for other people. And I just said, well, if I can, write grants for others, then maybe I could see what I could do for myself. And that's kind of where Change Today, Change Tomorrow came about. And then I'll pull up my slides, so you don't have to just look at me. So let me share my screen. Okay, I may need technical assistance because when I click share my screen, nothing is happening.
Nothing showing up for you, Taylor?
No. I can see share screen, but when I click it, it's like a dead.
Let's try it again. I just tried to add something in there. Still nothing.
No.
Dahlia, can you try to screen share yours and see if that works? And if not,
Yeah, it works for me.
Okay.
Actually, let me try it now. Rip the spotlight off you. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to go to Dahlia? Do you want to start the session? And then Taylor, do you want to send me your slides? I just put my email address in the chat box for you, and I'll see if I can share those once Dahlia is done.
Okay. Yeah, that works for me. All right. Good morning, everybody. Now I'm like on the edge of my seat after hearing your intro, Taylor. I'm like,
I'm
ooh,
so
community
sorry.
auntie. Talk to me, community auntie. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be in this space with you all today and share talking about solutions to food apartheid. We are located in the Humble Park neighborhood. And I just want to make sure my interpreters, are you live interpreting with me? Should I wait for your interpretation, or should I keep going?
They said yes, we are in the chat box. Thanks for checking,
Okay,
Dahlia.
of course. Keep going. Got it. Awesome. So we're going to be talking about a program called Classroom to Table today, where we are co-creating sustainable food ecosystems here in Humboldt Park. Humboldt Park is home to about 52,000 residents, and it makes up a rich diversity. So 50% of the residents that live in this neighborhood identify as Brown, Hispanic Americans, and 30% identify as Black Americans. What we experience in Humboldt Park is what we know as food apartheid. So this is more than just not having access to healthy food options, but it's a system of racial and economic segregation that denies our communities, Brown and Black communities, equitable access to health, fresh, and affordable foods. I'm not hearing interpretation. Are y'all?
So there's an interpretation channel, kind of an audio. So it's
Oh, so I won't hear it.
yeah.
Got you. Okay, I'm like, am I? Okay, perfect. Sounds good. So this has major health implications, right? Without access to healthy foods, there's going to be consequences in our health. So we see our communities have higher rates of chronic disease, things like diabetes, things like heart disease and cancer, because of this inequitable access to healthy food and also the disinvestment, our government not putting money into our communities so that we have access to healthy foods. I'm grateful to provide a solution today that is currently happening in Humboldt Park. It is the Classroom to Table program, which is made possible by the Chicago Region Food System Fund. So with their support, we are able to do this life-changing and empowering work here in Humboldt Park. What we do is provide students, teachers, and other community organizations with hydroponic gardening units, seeds, nutrients, curriculum, support, and guidance on growing their own plants and food. In the picture in the back of this slide, you see one of our programs, Central Infantil, which is a bilingual daycare that serves kids from 6 weeks old all the way to 5 years old. It's really powerful to see young nuggets interacting with fresh food and learning about the process and being a part of the process. Our mission is to empower our people to self-sustain the creation of these nutritious foods. So we educate, we teach basics in healthy eating, urban gardening, culinary skills, and entrepreneurship. In the back of this slide, you see a rooftop greenhouse at Dr. Pedro Albizu Campos High School, which we'll touch on a little bit later in the slideshow, but it's just a beautiful picture, so I wanted to give credit there. So what is a hydroponic gardening unit for those that might not know? It's a garden that can grow foods, sometimes twice or 3 times the size, without soil. So the plant's roots are run through a system of water and nutrients, and they're able to grow in that way in these towers. These towers look beautiful, right? And also we know from research and science that plants, greens improve our mood, right? Our connection to nature. So we use Rise Gardens to supply our partners and schools. Rise Gardens is a really great resource to use because of the ease at which we can onboard our partners. We help our schools and programs assemble, plant, water, grow, eat, and also have the support of the Rise Garden app, which makes using the gardens really easy. Our curriculum supports independent and group learning activities that, enhance teamwork, communication, the sciences, and overall a community-based approach to addressing the challenges that we see here in Humboldt Park. So what we do in Classroom to Table is we help folks start their garden, maintain the garden, harvest what has been grown, and then after things have been grown, right, what do you do with all the produce? The culinary aspect is really important too, right? Cooking and creating nutritious and culturally relevant meals. Viewing food as medicine. This is a huge healing component of Classroom to Table, given that because of food apartheid, we've had this disconnection from our food source, this disconnection to nature, really. And we are interconnected with nature, right? And we know that as we take care of nature and learn about nature, that nature and plants give life to us as well. Food is medicine. But we don't necessarily see and believe that when we're in communities that are facing challenges because of food apartheid, right? Burger King and McDonald's and the fast food options, the convenience store options, don't really make us feel like food is medicine. So Classroom to Table is a really great way of starting to bridge that disconnection. We also touch on the aspect of entrepreneurship, which is super cool, right? And business creation. So we have all these great, resources and products and tools and herbs and, all the things. What do we do with the stuff now? It's beautiful to see some programs lean into the entrepreneurial spirit and create businesses, start to create revenue and profit to then give right back into our community. So we are helping folks learn about the basics and nutritional components, the mind and body connection, where food comes from, and again, bridging our connection to our food source, and learning about seeds, sun, water, the growing process, and the different parts that make up a plant. So on top of those services that we provide for folks, we also look at providing a holistic experience for students and programs. Having the towers in and of itself is like an experiential learning experience, right? You get to plant the seeds yourself, you get to smell what's going on, you get to feel, you get to taste, you get to really experience what it's like to be near plants and around the process of growing your own produce. We take that a step further by partnering with different programs to have schools and programs participate in other events, in other activities, and field trips where kids, again, get to experience what it's like to be connected to that food source. When we go to the grocery store, we rarely have the thought or sit with how long it takes for our products to arrive at the store, or how many hands have had to work and build to create the product that we get to just so easily and accessibly buy off the shelf. So it's important that we expose students and other programs to where the food is coming from. It's a great honor to be able to offer that to our partners. take a moment to introduce the team, the dream team here. We have Tony Garitano on the left as an urban agriculture coordinator, myself in the middle, also the urban agriculture coordinator, and our fearless leader, the one and only Marvin Garcia, the executive director of communities as a campus. It's been such a pleasure to work with this team and of just really dedicated folks to the cause. It's really a powerful, powerful team here. We get stuff done. Awesome. Few numbers for you. So we are currently supporting 14 different schools and programs. There are 18 hydroponic towers in use, and there's been over, and I do mean over, 2,500 seeds planted. So what's great about this program also is the flexibility. We allow each program to use the towers in the ways that they see fit. So some programs are utilizing the towers to start the seedlings and then move them to dirt. Some are really excited about the entrepreneurial aspect of the towers, and others want to make sure they have enough cilantro and other herbs so that they can make sofrito and sell it at the farmer's market. So it's beautiful to see how the different programs we're interacting with are utilizing the resources and tools. So we really are co-creating with each specific school and program. This is Andy Townhouse from Clemente High School. She is a librarian there and the leader of the horticultural club. And she writes, in the same way, a high school athletic team encourages teamwork and accountability. The horticultural club at Clemente High School is pridefully rooted in strengthening the bonds between each other, our community, and a commitment to self-care. For the caring of plants, in turn, means we carve out empathy for others, our planet, and the folks that walk amongst us. Snaps. That's poetry. Yes, I love that Andy brought up the aspect of how the towers really do teach us about taking care of, and again, connecting to nature. And when we're connecting to nature, we find that it fills us up, that reciprocal relationship. So what we are doing is really all about food justice, equity, and re-indigenizing food practices. We are providing people with healthy food access, with sustainable and community-based, emphasis on the community-based food systems. We are honoring culturally relevant foods, the foods that our communities want to eat. And we are re-indigenizing our connection to our food and food systems. Again, we have a beautiful photo here of Central Infantil, the kids being excited and eager about seeing the process of a plant start from seedling in those little nurseries you see there to full-grown produce. We approach amplifying and advocating for our community in a holistic way. So one of our other projects we are currently working on is research around food waste. So we can put to paper how much food is being thrown away in schools. Why do students skip certain meals? And how does what students eat or don't eat, because babies out here skipping meals, right, affect their well-being? So we are really trying to get a holistic view to amplify the work we're doing and the need for classroom to table in schools and other programs. Classroom to Table is situated within a broader vision. So as of 2 weeks ago, Puerto Rico Town, is officially designated as a cultural district. So within Puerto Rico Town, there is a larger vision for a sustainable food ecosystem that utilizes urban agriculture. And we're going to touch on that. The vision is rooftop greenhouses for food sovereignty. We can utilize the hydroponic towers within the smaller scale things, right? But how do we meet the needs of the entire community, right? It needs to be scaled in a larger sense. So maybe we start the seedlings in the hydroponic towers, and then again, we move them to soil in these beautiful rooftop greenhouses that are filled up amongst the block. This would allow us to grow fresh food for 365 days a year. We would be able to meet the basic needs of our entire community through local food production, not having to rely on corporations or people who don't care about our communities or our well-being, but sustain ourselves locally. This would ensure that everyone has access to culturally relevant and nutritious food. And we would minimize the environmental impact with low carbon greenhouse construction as we are building the vision. What's beautiful about this is that there is a model for it already, right? At Dr. Pedro Albizu Campos High School, we see how this helps the community flourish, helps students calm down, find social and emotional regulation, right? And also feed a community. So if you'd like to support us this year, we are putting on our first ever showcase event at Clemente High School. This is a free event and a free community gathering where you will get to see how each of the different schools and programs implement the towers in their own unique and special way. So feel free to share this flyer, scan this QR code to register for this free event. It'll be a great time to be in community, see what the towers look like, and see what work we're doing. Beautiful. Do we have questions, thoughts, comments, anything? Feel free to move into a little bit of Q&A for anyone.
Yes, feel free to raise your hand and we
Yes.
put you off mute, or you can put your question in the chat box. And we'll read that out loud to make sure it gets interpreted, and then Dahlia can answer those.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Alonzo with Equity and Transformation. I was wondering how much was the price for the towers?
I have a number in my head. Marvin, I see you in the chat. You might want to help me here. How much? I think they're, for the 3-tiered, the one that you saw in this presentation, I think they're about 1,300, around there, give or take. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, 1,200 to 1,500, 1,600, around that area.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, Marvin.
Oh yeah, it's around 1,600 with delivery.
1,600.
And you also get a startup seeds with
Nice.
it.
Okay.
You get
Perfect. So
you get an app with it, and it runs remotely, and you can be at your house. You can be a teacher at your house, and you can water the plants. You can have the light on. You can turn it off. So
exactly.
yes, and you can run it year round. There's no reason to turn it off, except when you need to clean it. And yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for
Welcome.
fact checking.
We've got we've got a question in the chat box from Fiona. What made you decide to focus on hydroponics?
Yes, I love that question. And I love that Tony's on here too. He might be able to hop on it and help me answer it more specifically. Mostly that we can grow 365 days a year. It's, really easy for us to keep the towers going through the winter season. And also the fact that there are some plants that, like I said, grow 2 to 3 times as much within hydroponic units and that type of thing. Tony, if I missed anything, you could drop it in the chat or come off real quick off mute, but I think that's pretty much summarizes why. Good question. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And we've got Anika with a question. And Anika, just remind you to please speak slowly when you ask your question so that the interpreters can accurately interpret it. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Justin. My name is Annika. I live in the Chicago area. I work in supply chain sustainability. And I'm curious to know, I kind of have two questions. One is around sort of the maintenance of these hydroponic grow solutions. I know gardening is quite a lot of work. I was wondering if once you've delivered these units to the schools and have given them their starter seeds, what kind of feedback and sort of continuous check-in do you have to make sure that these are productive and that the schools feel that they're resourced enough to really take care of these units over a long period of time?
Such a good question. Yeah, this is where Tony and I come in, boots on the ground, answering, the questions that come up from day to day. The maintenance is fairly simple and easy. Things that we kind of come in contact with frequently are replacing pumps, cleaning out tubes. But once you understand like the structure of the tower, the unit, it's really fairly simple how it all works together. So yeah, it's mostly like ordering seeds when, people need nutrients or maybe a pump has gone bad. Some of our programs have older units from, different iterations of the model. So that sometimes trips us up. But with the newer units, we're seeing it's like Tony always calls it like the Cadillac experience, because it's just like, real smooth and really easy, like kind of weirdly easy.
Yeah. Hey, Dahlia, I'm on the line, and no,
Go for it.
It's a great question, because historically, why programs in schools, fall off is because, a teacher leaves that's really supported the program and they move on, and there's nobody to kind of pick up, the keys and drive the car to new places. Additionally, it's with equipment. If equipment it is easy, but in a way, you have to have a maintenance plan and you got to stick with it. And that's where the program Class on the Table comes in, because we, make it easy for the instructors to instruct, as opposed to trying to figure out why a tube is, not, the valve is closed, or we have to worry about ordering a pump. We want you guys in the education to really be empowered to deliver this material, because it's not easy, right? But there's a lot of student interest. And if we're helping to provide more time for the instructor to do what they do best, let us kind of handle the behind the scenes to make sure that garden is always 100% operational with the best seeds, and, people like Dahlia that can really, talk about how do we, curate programming? How do we work with the restaurant down the street? How do we work with a nonprofit community partner like the Puerto Rican Cultural Center? So you're right. Let's really get to the heart of the solution of the problem, as opposed to worrying about the equipment failure. So that's my 2 cents. Yep.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you. I want to make sure that we have enough time for our second presenter. I know there's a few other questions. Dahlia, Tony, Marvin, if you want to put your contact information or a place for people in the chat box to continue the conversation after this. I do want to close with just this one question before we transition. Amanda asks, for folks doing similar work in their communities, how can we get involved and be in community?
Yeah, I love that. Definitely connect with us. Y'all can see my screen, right? We got our emails up there.
Yep, I'm seeing them.
Perfect. So yeah, connect with us further so we can just keep the conversation going. Join us for the community event where, you know, we'll all be in person and get to really feel what it feels like to connect over such a powerful solution. And yeah, that's just let's keep talking. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it rolling. So thank you for the time and the space.
Great. Thank you, Dahlia. All right, let's transition over to Taylor.
Thank you, Dahlia, for stepping in and stepping up, honey.
Okay.
I got you.
Let me just.
So I'll
Let's go.
wait. Well, I'll go ahead and talk while he gets this queued up. So to reintroduce myself, Taylor Ryan, she, hers. I am the executive director and founder of Change Today, Change Tomorrow. I'm 33. I have a 5-year-old son. He starts kindergarten this fall. I'm super excited. I am a single mom. I am a daughter. I am a sister. I am the first daughter, which means I am everybody's mama, even my granny's mama. Okay. When we go on trips, I have the whole itinerary. Everybody is looking to me. And so for all the eldest daughters in the room, I'm sorry for you too. But yes, again, Taylor Ryan, so happy to be here at the 19th annual Chicago Food Justice Summit. I have to shout out my homegirl Maya that I met at the University of Louisville years back. She works at Black Feminist Future, and she saw this opportunity for me to speak and emailed me and was like, I think you should apply. And I was like, girl, you know I will. And so here we are, super excited to just be sharing space. I know this is focused on Chicago, but I want people to know that, honey, people in first of all, there are Black people in Kentucky. I just got that question while I was traveling in Florida, and people always, there's Black people in Kentucky? Absolutely, lots of us. And that brings us to the point that actually there are a lot of us, and we are dying in the city of Louisville and surrounding areas in Kentucky. And so even though I am a Paducah native, I have been in the city of Louisville on and off for the last 10 years. And I'm realizing now that I have interpreters, so I need to slow down probably.
Thank you.
Yes, you could go to the next slide. So I started this organization I started the thought of it in 2018 when I was at Marshall University. I was obtaining my second master's degree in leadership studies, and the focus was nonprofits and the public sector. And at that time, I was thinking I was just going to work at a nonprofit. I never had an envision of actually running my own. So one of the classes that I took was like, create a fake nonprofit and create the mission statement and make a website. And so even though I didn't start anything until 2019 with the organization, the seed was planted in 2018 simply by, doing a classroom assignment. By 2019, I was moving back to Louisville from Marshall University. So that's in Huntington, West Virginia. I've also done some time down in Mississippi State, so I've dabbled in all the southern racist places that you can imagine. Um, with that, I came back with my baby. He was 1 year old at the time. And like I said before, I was making $12 an hour. I had 2 master's degrees and I was writing grants for other organizations. And I just kind of thought, well, what is something I want to do? Because if I can, write grants and get money for other organizations, I could probably do something for myself as well. So with that, I created Change Today, Change Tomorrow. And it really stems from the founding board members were literally Black women that I had done other organizational things at the University of Louisville. So I ran a couple organizations there, a Black women's organization. I ran the Association of Black Students at the University of Louisville. And at that time, those people that we learned all these fundraising skills and all those like grassroots movement organizing skills, we learned so much at the University of Louisville. If I took time to name everyone off from those organizations, everyone is now doing something in community and for community. And so our mission at Change Today, Change Tomorrow is that we are a Black-led organization. We're devoted to eradicating the food justice and public health barriers that plague the Black community. So we are FUBU, we are for us, by us. That makes us very unique in the way that we serve, because we understand being poor and being Black, because we are poor and Black. I live in Victory Park, which is the poorest neighborhood in the city of Louisville. And I'll talk about my foodscape later. But yeah, so there's gun violence on the end of my street. So how do we know how to serve people? It's because we are the people that we serve. We believe that providing is prevention. And so even though we are virtual today, I'm actually bringing some of my staff members down tonight so we can be in person tomorrow. So if you see us tomorrow, please get a providing is prevention sticker from us, because we really believe that giving people what they need will bring down the crime and the need to take and do things out of desperation simply by providing people exactly what they need. You can go to the next slide. I'm going to share some of our shared language with you all, because there's some words that I may use that you may have never heard, or some words that I may use that you may not know to the definition that we know them to be. So there are some words that we utilize over some other words, such as activation. We don't necessarily use the word empowerment. We know that's a great word that a lot of organizations use, but we believe that the people already have the power. We just need to activate it. We just need to ruffle it up and get it started. And so what we believe in is a lot of information dissemination. We know the information is up here a lot of times, and we work hard to bring it down, to trickle it down to ways that people digest it. So we don't really believe in the word empowerment. We use the word activation. We also, like Dahlia said, we utilize the term food apartheid. Food apartheid for us is not that fancy buzzword that food desert is. Oh, there's a food desert and they're without. No, we are strategically placed here, and resources are plucked out of our neighborhood with great intention. And when I say that, I say, 2 months ago, the news was calling us because they wanted to hear our thoughts on another CVS pharmacy closing. When I went to the University of Louisville here, I used to shop at a Kroger on 2nd Street. When I moved back to Louisville from getting my master's degree and coming back, there's no longer a Kroger on 2nd Street. So they are intentionally removing the resources that people quite often need, which is why we believe that providing is prevention. We also believe in people power. So we believe in the people that we serve are our base, and we know that giving them the information and the tools and the knowledge, and basically sharing resources and access to basic needs as well as basic information floating around the city, that we can activate them and turn them into a very powerful base. And finally, we utilize the term foodscape. Foodscape is your surrounding neighborhood, your access to fresh food. So that kind of brings me to my next slide. I'm going to spend a couple of seconds asking people to close their eyes. I cannot check if your eyes are closed because a lot of people have their video off. And so we're just going to trust that for the next 10 or so seconds that you're going to close your eyes and you're going to think about your foodscape. That's the landscape of your food access. Thinking about up the block, what's up the street from you? Is there a farmer's market? Is there a community garden? Do you have several grocery stores you can choose from? Are there several drugstores in the area? At this point, you can open your eyes. I'm sure you're picturing your favorite grocery store that you frequent, and it's so beautiful, and you all have many options of fruits and vegetables, and the produce section looks very beautiful and colorful. And I want to show you the foodscape that we navigate in the city of Louisville. As you can see on the first image here, you have the Krogers in the city of Louisville. If you can look over, I know you can't see my cursor, but if you can look over to the west side of Louisville, that's what we call the West End. For some reason, we only have 2 Kroger in the west end of Louisville, whereas on the east side of Louisville, there are over 15 Kroger. On the east side of Louisville, there are also Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Sam's, Walmart grocery store, Publix. There's also some local grocery stores, Rainbow Blossom, some other local grocery stores that are all actually in very close proximity to each other in the East End. Unfortunately, we have over 60,000 residents who navigate the West End, and for some reason, we are sharing 2 Kroger. We don't have a Publix, a Trader Joe's, a Whole Foods on our side of the city. Subsequently, on that same side of the city, we have a lot of Family Dollars. You see tons of Family Dollars on our side of the city, tons of Family Dollars. Not so many spread out throughout the East End. I guess they don't need access to Family Dollar materials. And with that, Family Dollar in Louisville also has access to a liquor license. So on top of the fact that we have our Family Dollar is our grocery option, we can also pick up our liquor at our local Family Dollar. It's really unfortunate that the Family Dollar is like petitioning constantly to keep their liquor license, knowing that we are in a bourbon-filled state, and that why do they even need to be selling things that are liquor involved? So I wanted to put this stat that we've been sharing with people in the last few years, is that crime rises 12% in a neighborhood when food security in that neighborhood falls by 1%. So for us, that means that providing, again, is prevention. Simply by giving people what they need will alleviate their need to do things out of desperation. You can go to the next slide. So we live in a tale of 2 cities. As you can see, there's an abundance of resources on the East End, while at the same time on the West End, we are literally navigating scarcity. At the same time, we have thousands of pounds of food in our city being thrown away every day. So what this looks like is my grocery shopping experience looks different from someone else's grocery shopping experience. I have a grocery store, I have a Kroger less than a mile away from me, but my Kroger experience is different than an experience on the East End. I don't know what's happening with the slides. But yes, so on the West End, you cannot just run into the Kroger and grab what you need really quickly and run out. No, 60,000 people are splitting 2 Kroger. And so you're constantly in a long line. You are also over policed. There's a police presence in both Krogers on the West End. Outside of that, in our produce area is not as beautiful, it's not as colorful as those on the East Side. So we have meat and potatoes. On the East Side, they have bok choy. We're wondering why we don't have access to eggplant. How sometimes when we're giving out eggplants during our line, people are wondering what to do with it, what it tastes like, how's it feel, what's it gonna cook like, how do we store it? And so because we have so much waste on one side of the city and literally scarcity on the other side of the city, what we do to combat that is we're trying to, one, bring awareness to the fact that there's so much waste, and 2, connect the dots. So this slide is showing you, like, this is what the increased impacts of food waste look like. It's increasing emissions. I'll share some stats with you. So 50% of all emissions from landfills comes from food waste. Another issue with food waste decreases the soil nutrients. So even if I wanted to plant a garden in my front yard in the West End, our soil is toxic. So it's not as easy as, oh, just throw some seeds out in the yard. No, we have to have a bed. We have to have soil. We have to have all the proper things that we need to even grow. So it's not as simple as just, oh, you should grow your groceries. That'll fix it all. No, we have to fix our soil as well. And then on top of that, it's the large amounts of energy that's wasted to destroy food waste. You can hit the next slide. So this is the global waste, but I also want to share some like US stats with you. So 15% of all waste in the US is food waste, 15%. You have 40% of all the food produced in the United States being wasted. So it's very like weird that we have to play Robin Hood in a sense to connect the dots between excess and scarcity. As you can see, global waste food waste on a global scale is tremendous. It's at 42%. What we know is that by the year 2030, if we don't start doing things now, we're not going to be able to reverse a lot of these environmental issues. You can hit the next slide. So what is Change Today, Change Tomorrow doing about this? Honey, we're doing a lot with a little bit. Okay, let me tell you. We are committed to food rescue and diversion. And what that looks like for us is we have a partner with Trader Joe's. We've been partnered with Trader Joe's for the last 3 years. We've been able to move just shy of $2 million worth of groceries as one small organization partnering with one grocery store. If that can give you an idea of how much food is wasted on an annual basis. Every year, because the cost of food goes up, we're rerouting more total cost. But this last year alone, we rerouted $600,000 in groceries. Those are groceries that other grocery stores are literally throwing away. And so we bring those groceries back to our office. We assess them based on a would you eat that scale? And it has been working out perfectly for us for the last 3 years. We wouldn't serve anything we wouldn't eat, and we don't consider ourselves a food bank. We don't consider ourselves a food pantry. We are intentional about the food that we're serving, and if we wouldn't eat it ourselves, we're definitely not serving it. But because that causes waste at the same time, we're also connecting that waste to other organizations. If we have a surplus of fruits and vegetables, we will connect those fruits and vegetables to a local daycare and or a local Black-owned juicery. We also work with our Office of Sustainability at the University of Louisville. So at the end of the week, anything we have left over, they put into their garden, they give to their livestock, or they put in their pantry for the weekend. And so we are almost at a zero waste as being a food organization ourselves. Outside of that, we have, so our food waste and diversion also creates a free grocery program. And so we work with DoorDash on Mondays. DoorDash picks up our groceries and they deliver those groceries to individuals who are immobile without transportation. In my neighborhood, the residents in this neighborhood only have 30% access to transportation. And so there are folks who need their groceries delivered. And then the rest of the remaining days of the week, we have a grocery pop-up based on zip codes where we prioritize Black families, but we serve all. And it is a true grocery shopping experience. You are getting your fruits, your vegetables, your meat, your dairy, your bread. We also provide different hygiene materials, COVID tests, condoms, anything really you can think of, diapers, wipes. It's a kind of a one-stop shop grocery shopping experience. We also provide education and awareness. So again, sometimes items that we serve have never been seen before because they've literally been removed from our grocery stores. And so we're handing out items like recipes, storing materials. I'm going home pretty much every 2 weeks. I haven't in the last couple of weeks because I've been on vacation, but I'm going home pretty much every 2 weeks with a bag of our own groceries because I'm also eating these groceries. Our staff are eating these groceries. Our volunteers are eating these groceries. This is how we are sustaining our life. And so I'll take my bag home and then I'll go on Facebook Live and show people this is how I've made a nice healthy meal with the items that we're providing. We're also really collaborative as an organization. And so we are not a one-stop shop in saying, I'm trying to solve it all as one person and we're trying to solve it all as one organization. Absolutely not. We have over 20 organizations and businesses, local businesses, national chains. So many people and organizations are helping us do the work that we're doing. So we're not oh, this is one person or this is one entity. No, we are a very collaborative organization. And if you looked at our web of connections, it is large and deep. With that, We are hosting our very first summit this year. So super excited to be attending you all summit in person so I can just take some more notes. But our summit is called the State of Black Food. I attended the Hunger in Kentucky Summit last year, and it was literally like 100 white people in the room who like do not navigate scarcity of food access, especially fresh food access. And so I wanted to tip that on their head and say, look, we're going to host our own State of Black Food Summit with Black people. So that'll be April 13th, and we're super excited about it. We're going to be paying all the participants $100, providing them with childcare, transportation. We have breakfast, lunch, and dinner sponsored. So it'll be a full thriving day of thought work, and also fellowship, because it's going to be a vibe. We're going to be playing Bob Marley and Fred Hampton speeches, and it's just going to be a good, uplifting, power building time. We're also developing an app. So the app will work in congruent to the policy I'm going to talk about. And with that, you can go to the next slide. So we've been working with the Black Policy Institute, the Black Futures Lab Black Policy Institute. And so they're helping us create this policy idea and this framework around talking with our local government, in particular with the Office of Public Health and Wellness, to introduce a policy that's specifically focused on creating and implementing a food waste and loss plan for all food service industry businesses, in order for them to get their Board of Health, like in order for them to get their A on the wall. They have to have not only a food waste and loss plan, but they have to have the plan implemented. And so the app that we're creating will then work on the back end to connect those food service industry businesses to the food justice organizations who are focused on rerouting surplus. So it's going to be a good old time. We're going to be feeding people. We're going to be increasing public awareness of how much food is wasted at the same time that we're navigating scarcity. It's going to create food access, but ultimately it's going to reduce our emissions and save our world. You could go to the next slide. Here are a few ways that you can help with the work. We are in a very heavy process of like strategic planning to pick up the duality of not only direct service, but base building. We're working with the Kentucky Civic Engagement Table to really stretch us and help us navigate being a organization that is not only doing direct service on the ground, but also building the bridge between the people that we serve and the information that we have to upholster folks and build our base. We know that we have a lot of power. We recently were able to get our local office of sustainability. They had a survey out, which not many people take the city surveys, and we've become aware of that. And so we always take our city surveys and do them along with the base that we serve. So while people are in line, they're getting their food, we're talking with them about, did you know the city is doing this? And did you know they have a survey out right now? And so the Office of Sustainability, they had a climate action plan survey. And we were very successful in being able to get them to implement a step in their climate action plan survey, their climate action plan that they pitched to the government for an implementation plan grant of almost $500 million. And so super excited to be just actually have food waste diversion mentioned in the plan, and to be in connection and have conversation and just know that the people that we serve have the power to voice their opinion and change their entire foodscape. They just needed that information. People don't know what's going on because people aren't trying to tell people what's going on. So what's next for us? If you have any skills in any of these areas, policy proposal development, legislative timelines, implementation, planning and policy implementation. We know one of the biggest issues with implementing a policy is once you get it passed, you still have to figure out how to hold that system accountable and how to continue the implementation process. And so if anybody has any expertise in those areas, please look us up. I'm going to also drop a link in the chat because I have this War on Hunger t-shirt that I created. It's really popular with the base that we serve. And so if anybody wants to buy a t-shirt, I'm going to drop that link as well. And I think 28 seconds of my time, I put a timer on. And so I think my next slide is just saying, thank you, maybe? Yes. And this is our website. A lot of the information that I've talked about today is on our website, change-today.org. Our website is actually getting a big update in the month of April. And so if you go there right now and go, it's basic, just know we're getting a whole complete turnaround next month. So just bear with us. I only have a staff of 7 people.
Good job, Taylor. Thank you so much for sharing. Let's do some Q&A with Taylor and what's going on with Change Today. I'm going to launch our poll, so if you can give us some feedback before you drop off and while you ask questions for Taylor. Watch this. Okay. And similarly, if you have a question, you can drop it in the chat box and we'll get to it, or raise your hand and we'll get to you. And then when you do speak, just speak slowly so that our interpreters have time to do the interpretation. Dr. Julia.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Taylor.
Good morning. Come on, Queen.
Yes, yes, yes. You are so powerful in what you accomplished from seed to harvest, right? And so what I want to know is a couple of things. One, what's your relationship like with the mayor of the city?
Great question.
It is non-existent. We have, of course, we have our own grapples with local government, and just, should we work with them? Should we not work with them? You know, we're always on the fence because it's like dancing with the devil.
Wow. The reason why I had asked, because I know your city was in the news for the reparations initiative that he was championing. And so I wanted to see what the authentic layer was like in connection to that miracle work you were doing. So thank you for answering that question. The other question that I had is what you've done, have you documented it to where it could be replicated in other cities as well? And if so, how can funders as well as organizations that want to do this type of work, as opposed to starting from scratch, tap into you and getting a franchise fee payment to you to use your intellectual properties?
Yes, that's actually one of the things that we're developing with our strategic planning with the Kentucky Civic Engagement Table. We're working on a framework that we can ultimately sell.
And then we had a question in the chat box. Let me get to Brandis's. I think it's first. Are you in Chicago tomorrow, Taylor?
Yes, I am in Chicago tomorrow. I'm bringing 4 of us are coming of our 7 total staff. So we need some recommendations, some Black-owned business recommendations. We need to spend some money with some Black-owned businesses. So just throw their recommendations in the chat, please. Yep. We'll be in person all day at the summit tomorrow, and then we're going to do some dinner. And then Saturday, we're going to just chill out and try to do some Black-owned business shopping.
Love it. That's great. Jake, you've got your hand up. What's your question?
Yeah. Hey, Taylor, thank you for your presentation. One of the slides you mentioned that violence increases, I think you said 12% for every 1% that food insecurity increases. That's kind of staggering, and just an important way of looking at food insecurity from a different perspective that I hadn't heard before. Can you cite that source, or where did you find
that? It's from a
Clemson
study.
It's from a what? A Clemson study?
Clemson study, I think from 2016. I could be wrong on the year.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes. I love that statistic because it's always that white person saying, well, you're not getting grocery stores because you're stealing from grocery stores. And it's like, well, duh, we're stealing because we've got 2. If we
Yeah.
had 10, we wouldn't need to steal.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. People are dropping a lot of great spots, Black owned in the chat box. So whether you're coming to town for the weekend or whether you live in Chicago, make a list and make a note of these places.
We are going to Virtue, so I'm glad I picked a good spot. I was looking on Google, so we are doing dinner at Virtue, I think tonight.
The place is hot.
I did see a question in the chat about talking more about the pop-up grocery.
Yep.
And so we have had several different ways that we've popped up. When we didn't have an office, we would pop up directly in neighborhoods and just go to areas that we knew people were frequenting. Then we obtained an office and we did pop-ups in our office. We recently got a grant through the state, and now we have these sheds that we've placed throughout the city in partnership with local community organizations. And so we have a shed outside of New Leaf, which is a recovery clinic. We have a shed on another community auntie's property. She's a therapist within the city, but that land is not tied to an organization. She always wants me to say that it's just tied to her and her family roots. And then we also have another shed outside of our new park. We have a new park in the California neighborhood, the Alberta O. Jones Park. And so through those 3 sheds that we pop up in those areas, those are also directly in the West End. And so those are aligned with the zip codes that we also prioritize when we're doing our serving. And so we're literally bringing all the boxes of food, lining up tables, and organizing everything by fruits, vegetables, bread, dairy, meat, and you get a bag when you sign in. We don't need any documentation. We believe in a barrier-free access. And so we're coming to a neighborhood near you. You are ultimately signing your name, telling us how many people are in your household, just so we can ensure that we have that demographic. And anything else that anybody else may require, we don't have to show us how poor you are, because we believe you because you in this line. So even if you are here to get groceries so you can sell groceries, you probably need the cash more than you need the food, and I trust that. The cool thing about our partnership with Trader Joe's is we also get their flowers. And so it's beautiful to serve free flowers along with the groceries that we serve. And so it's just a really beautiful experience because it's shameless. We're not it's not this white led organization that's making you feel like shit because you need food. It's just really empowering. Like, oh, how's your auntie and them? How's your nephew doing? Did you know that LG&E right now is having their payment stall right now? Or did you know so-and-so is paying for power bills? And so like, it's just a good time, a good connection of resources. And also you get to leave with your bag of groceries and your flowers.
What other questions do we have? I'm also looking through the chat to see what else